3 games down. Now on to the 4th. There's been non-stop action in these early games. Some players even choosing to switch up their game plan a little bit. But what we're going to take a look at, it's down below in the underworld. 3 teams originally contesting this drop spot. But it looks like now it might just be 2. It's actually Lavish Lair.
Again, I think this might be like a blessing in disguise for Crimson Noms because they're able to get the loot. They're able to get some early surge. And even if they don't necessarily take this duo out right away, they have options of what to do afterwards. So even though I expect this to be something that's fought out, unless the other team disengages, I expect, Crimson Noms, as soon as they get the loadout they want, to try to push that team out of what is their POI Lavish Lair.
Look at this, though. Mount Olympus. It looks like Thomas HD and Queasy were originally going straight into the engagement with Doom and Ice, but now almost a little switch up on where these duos have been dropping within Mount Olympus. It's actually going to be the Ice that's going to take out Destru here. Doom has been dropped down, so now it's just a 1 versus 1. And it's just a waiting game for Thomas HD and Queasy to come up and clean it up.
Yeah, they just get so much flexibility because of those teams not only just fighting it out, but fighting it out as early as they are. Because while all it happens, Queasy Thomas are just looting up, getting the perfect loadout, and just getting the final elimination. And once again, it looks like virtually uncontested Mount Olympus for themselves. There might be one team on top of that mountain looking down from above, but they're not really getting enough information. A lot of that will have came from the feed.
Looking at Sky Scroll, though. Their journey ended quickly in the last match, but now they're looking a lot more healthy. Shots through the window. No connection with the shotgun, though. It's actually going to be onto Sky. It's dropped down to 70 shield, but they have the upper hand in terms of positioning here. Hopefully Scroll, though, can find an angle.
Just need to really make up for that last game where they didn't necessarily have the performance that they wanted, but 3 teams moving over. You got Toos and Karmi as well, disrupting this fight from a distance. You can see some of that damage landing on Sky because of it. Kind of forcing these 2 teams into extractions lower than where they're currently positioned. Even Sky and Scroll are separated from each other. But with no current engagements going on, you can see in the minimap, nobody's just trying to rush one another and clean up a lot of that damage. This fight will and does tend to slow down just a little bit.
Strokey Raban going head to head here. Kielba and Goba. As now, looks like they do have the upper hand in this fight. Cracks continue to come on through, but nothing yet to convince Fastroki and Raban to go fully in.
It's a good shot. 80 damage just like that. Continues to back up Fastroki. Not going to scare him too much, though. He's ready to pop some shots. Fire back at his opponents. We're not make him look like a pushover, and you can see because of that, him and Roban have been able to get 2 different angles that they can now attack from, which some it's a blessing, but all it takes is that 1 second of separation for them to target out either Roban or Fastroki to turn this into a 2v1 situation. There's just so much pressure coming from all around. Fastroki not necessarily getting the upper hand in that fight and kind of forced to heal up, back up just a little bit, and that third party gave him so much time to come in and disrupt this fight. And now the decisions have to be made. Do you continue on? Do you disengage? And I do think they're going to pick the latter.
You can see how quickly that decision came through, though. You said it on your mind already. What's the play? And they already decided we're disengaging. So they started walking away. They got a bit of damage already, and to be honest, it's all they really needed.
Not too surprised. Pleasant Piazza was pretty crowded in that last game. And like I said, I think Crimson Noms, I think that major 1 battle against Queasy and Thomas was a huge learning experience for them to now kind of just alpha up that POI, kind of take it as their own. But I thought I saw Marius in the distance, slowly but surely moving over. Sangil as well. A long journey away from the underworld where they originally start, but sometimes with how they've been doing so far in this game, 60 points, they're behind their own goal, not necessarily ours, so they probably realize they need to shake things up just a little bit if they want to get back on track.
Playing sneaky here, seeing if they can catch one of their opponents off guard or maybe even scavenge a bit of loot. Being separated, though. They can't take too many risks here. Cringe Noms, though, alongside those 2 eliminations they already have and the decent loadout, they're going to choose to start working more on their mid game here and rotating.
The team so far, yeah, they've really had almost virtually no struggles when it has come to Storm Surge. Trap has about 1,700 damage. Cringe has 1,700 damage by himself. Noms has about 1,400. So they are doing just enough when it comes to that Storm Surge to constantly keep themselves above the threshold, not worrying about taking damage. So that way they can primarily focus on their positioning through each and every one of these mid games.
An engagement that we've seen time and time again. On the corner of the map, we see a lot of fights taking place. One of them, Pixie and Walks like being involved in, but you can see the danger that can come from it if you look at the mini-map at the bottom right. Another 2 duos about to be in their own fight potentially. So either team that takes those initial shots could quickly get third-partied, which is maybe why Walks and Pixie here have just decided, you know, we should just get out of here. Zone's going to start closing. We do not want to be on the edge.
You just got to be careful, because even though that side of the map is opened up, if the zone does pull away, that will put him on the congested side of the zone as we finally tune on board Yanis and Flixie. Not as uncontested as a drop as we thought we were going to see to start the day. You see multiple teams, including CZB and Nathan, moving in over towards Reckless Railways, stealing away the loot. And that's what happens when you're a little slow to get out of your POI. You try to loot just a little bit too much. The Sky and Scroll looking like they're trying to have a little bit of a sneaky play. Make up, boxes his opponent. First shot's going to land on the other one as well. Both of them are being put to just low HP, but Scroll looks like he's just by himself. I don't know where Sky is at. He finally joins the mix, but at the perfect time, both of his opponents were dropped to just very little HP, and he's just firing shot after shot after shot until he's finally able to pick up a knock on at least one of the 2 players so far.
Kira caught running. Didn't even have a chance to turn around as Sky picked up the Elim. I think they're even going to be happy with that. They could chase the solo, but it's not worth it at this point. As now they're going to comfortably, with that bit amount of damage, just continue with their match. The deal reason. Right above Swizzy and Vanyak. 2 Titanic duos going head to head.
And see teams you almost expect to be near the top of the leaderboard through and through. 219 points though for Swizzy and Vanyak. That calm, cool, collected game plan. They already have a win. They have consistency underneath their belt. And even though this is just 6 games through day 1 and they got 6 more tomorrow, you want to give yourself as much of a cushion over the rest of the pack as possible.
2nd and 6th place fighting in the early game could potentially mean huge shifts in the leaderboard, but as both players seem to have disengaged, it's going to be a bit of time for them to continue with their path. Let's take a look though at Sky and Scroll, what they were able to do here.
And that first shot and just the pressure is just too much. And that's what happens when you have a lot of that piece control. You can take shortcuts while your opponent is trying to escape, and then you kind of have them blocked off on one wall, boxed in, your box, really no exits. It's kind of what you'd expect from Sky and Scroll.
Teeny Chap, huge start to game 1. I'd love to see them play once again for that height if they can make it there. But as the bunker battle continues, these can take a lot of time to conclude.
A lot of hype surrounding this team. And it's the early games you can kind of see a lot of their potential, a lot of their shines of greatness. It's just the end game or lack of opportunity to play some of these end games out is where they begin to fall short. A little bit of a cheeky opportunity there, trying to go for a snipe shot. Vocal Vortexers continuously trying to gain the pieces back, and they're willing to trap themselves in this bunker to make sure that they get the loot. You see the zone is going to be all around them, so they have more than enough time to wait out Chapatini.
Shots continue to come on through. Getting a flashback from the last match. We saw how long it took to get out of that bunker. And this might just be a similar scenario.
Basically up to Vocal Vortexers how long they want to stay down there. And then Teeny and Chap, I feel like their time limit is how much surge they currently have. Do you have the luxury to wait in there? Or do you have to kind of build one of these towers like you see Queasy and Thomas in order to get your own damage? Not too far off for where they start towards Mount Olympus. Definitely have kind of handled a lot of the struggles that they had up until this point. They just need to be able to push themselves over the top, played to that full potential. 140 points, great spot on the leaderboard where they're currently at. But you know Thomas, you know Queasy, never have these guys placed outside of the top 10 in an FNCS.
I know, I'm getting good feelings with Thomas and Queasy. They haven't completely popped off yet, but they're getting closer and closer, Jacob. And the good news is with 2 days of competition, 6 more matches to be played out tomorrow, 3 more today, including this one. I think this could be one of the duos that potentially will take home that Axe of Champions.
Hey, they got as good a shot as any. And the way Mount Olympus has been playing out so far here today, it's playing out perfectly in their favor. And a battle I felt like we kind of talked about. We mentioned it just a little bit. Pink and Vico, Yanis and Flixie, the possibility of them two engaging is actually real, especially with not too many opportunities for Yanis and Flixie to get the Storm Surge to start out on Reckless Railways. This is something that we saw very, very similar in Major 1. They rotated over towards this forecast tower. Coincidentally enough, it was against Pink and Vico where they tried to get as much Surge as possible.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. The potential of that back and forth hasn't been happening too much today, but there's still a lot of time. As now the separation has come through from both duos. Nothing too risky on either side. Just 18 seconds till third zone closes and fourth appears, so we'll see them make their way closer and closer into the zone here. But Cringe and Noms once again, it's non-stop action for this duo.
Yeah, they're ready to take a challenge after challenge. And you can see they're so far away from their original landing spot of Lavish Layer. So they went hunting for good positioning, and they ran into Cheeps and Turtle, who didn't have to go far from the original drop spot of the Underworld. And Cheeps and Turtle, one of the teams that has pulled out at least one VR throughout the qualification process of the semifinals, proving that they have the blueprint down packed, especially when it comes to those set lobbies. But now when you're playing against the best of the best, all stacked in one lobby, this is where you get put to the test.
Vanyak gonna choose to separate a little bit. Both sides of the ridge have eyes on them now, but you can even see on the mini map the only duos that are in the surrounding area are quite far. So it looks like they're kind of planning where they're gonna take this launch pad to.
And no matter where the zone pulls, they have the inventory to get max height on that launch pad. Combine the Wings of Icarus, you combine the Flowberry Fizz, you launch off that launch pad, and you kind of get your pick of the litter of literally exactly where you want to land. And if the zone does pull in this direction, I think that will be a huge blessing for these guys to be able to maintain that position high up on the mountain with an escape plan right behind them.
100%. Pixie walks, though, in between, what, 3-4 different duos? Maybe even more? As some of them start to disengage here at the Underworld, but the good news is they're making use of their time here, refarming their break. Almost have cap materials if they can max up their break here. We'll see where this zone does pull, but so far it looks like nobody in this area wants to take shots at each other.
He's not just yet. Probably just a little too early in some scenarios. Queasy and Thomas kind of back to where I didn't expect them to be with how well they've been playing so far. I thought they would kind of minimize the amount of time they're staying in zone for as long as they are, especially since it's the finals. We've already had at least one heal off so far. But with 349 damage above the Storm Surge threshold, they do have the luxury to maintain their position in the Storm. They have the Flowberries, they have the Legendary Bananas, so it won't be long before we see them outside of the zone and even possibly have them to rotate to the next.
Sohan and Trash, 90 below here. Good news is being in the Underworld, you do have that River of Sticks that gives you those dashes to kind of move themselves quickly around the surrounding area and potentially even find some other players that might trade shots with them. But as the clock's ticking, they're getting more and more below. Already 141. Goes back to 83, but they've just got 18 seconds until Storm Surge will start ticking, so they've really got to do something soon. And look at that, Jacob, the combo with the Wings of Icarus once again. Getting a huge amount of damage, but it's not enough.
Yeah, really catching a lot of players off guard in this finals. It's just not something you've scrimmed against, not something you practice against. You even got the Thunderbolt of Zeus coming in from different directions, forcing Trash and Zohan to just not get the Storm Surge that they wanted. And now they're falling further and further below that damage threshold. Even though they do have their eyes on the Cheeps and Turtles, they're not really going to get the opportunity. Zohan's finally going to get knocked by Cringe, who now re-enters into the mix. Him and Noms are able to clean up that elimination fully, get the loot. Even though they're pressured momentarily, they have very little to worry about. Now that they got a huge refresh, they get the materials, and they're 550 damage above the surge threshold.
Trash not only getting ticked by Zone, getting pushed as well by Cheap and Turtle. Cringe Noms, though, know exactly what happened, and they're hungry for a little bit of the pie. Shot comes through, nothing big connected.
I'm seeing the Storm Surge really dictating the way a lot of these players are going to play, as Psycho and Voltiax are able to catch out Snazy, take him down altogether. Podicide trying to survive, but he gets taken down all the same. The gentle mates weren't handled so gently in that last fight, from a big win to getting taken down before placements.
Prodoxy and Trip. Still just 9 below the Storm Surge threshold. The good news is they do have a lot of players in the surrounding area. Alex and Sado even looking like they're a little desperate as well with their edits they're doing on the cone. So there should be opportunities here to get tags. With that Thunderbolt of Zeus, Prodoxy here might try and pull something off.
Yeah, typically it's Prodoxy and Trippin'. Even Trulex and Chicho, they like to spot out some of these sky bases in the distance. They use the quick window, trying to cover as much as possible. None of those shots realistically able to bleed through, but for Doxy, you got to give him at least an A for attempting something like that, especially since he's 24 damage below the threshold.
I love how he lined it up, too. 2 boxes up, 1 little window, full safety while throwing those Thunderbolts, and it looks like he might just look for 1 more.
At least some damage is going to hit. Whether if it's 11 or 1, being above the damage threshold is where you want to be, but instantly they fall right down below 26, back where they began. But Volko, Vortexes, they're the ones on the other side that have to meet their maker. First one's going to get dropped. Volko goes down very, very easy to Prodoxy and Trip him, and they have the choice here. Now that they got all the loot, they got the elimination and the damage for Surge, do you keep going or do you disengage now that you're just getting taken out by Storm? Each second you last is going to be less health you're able to leave with.
That's the big question. As you can see, how many players are getting affected by the Storm Surge as those lightning bolts come from the sky. Benno Tayson being one of the duos, but all they need is 1 quick shot. Cherry is down below. Can Benno connect the shot, though, as players from afar are still continuing to apply pressure? No shot's been connected yet. They've lost so much shield already. Just not being able to get that 1 tag.
Now 1 tag is just causing them so much commotion. Finally, he's able to get 1 on the tail, even spotting Video out on the other, just trying to keep on increasing that Storm Surge. They're in such an okay position to stagger themselves back and get the Surge, but it has to be worth it. You have to at least get it at the minimum.
Good news. Like I mentioned earlier, being in this part of the map, you can rotate a lot quicker with that river of sticks, even though Reason was unable to do so. Everyone having those dashes also just allows for a majority of the duos to get positioned where they want to quicker. Thomas HT and Queasy being one of the duos, kind of just taking shots at everybody that's rotating in, but Benno now looks like they found it. The shots they so desperately needed has put them 70 above, but how long are they going to be comfortable with that?
I like the way he's just taking opportunities and not really backing down from a challenge. That's something that you have to do in moments like this for Venno and Tayson. Be persistent, not really give up on the chase. 2 of the greatest players in all of Fortnite. They know exactly how to handle pressure from all directions. Yanis and Flixie, they're the ones that are in their line of sight. Voltiax and Psycho Cool, same ones feeling that pressure outside of the zone, trying to make their way in.
135 above, drop down to 106, continuing to look for those angles. As now you got to be careful, the pressure's on them. It's Yanis who's looking to get in. All it's going to take is 1 shot from Benno to clean it up. Flixie as well following shortly after. Both players now just on the borderline of getting eliminated to Surge. Benno, though, is just holding strong, not even taking shots yet, as he knows if he allows them to get damage, it could be what saves them.
They're going to desperately need to continue to hold their position because there's going to be teams all around them trying to break into the box. Swizzy's feeling some of that same pressure on the other side. but they're ready for a challenge. They've been practicing. They've been progressively building that momentum here throughout the day, and I don't think there's going to be very many teams that can stop them when they're on this hot streak.
Definitely not. But what might just stop them is damage dealt. So many players on the borderline. You can see how difficult it is in grand finals. It's no qualifier or semis. This is literally the hardest lobbies to get damage in, and a significant amount.
It's good for them. Even though they're falling below the damage threshold, they're consistently doing just enough. Landing one shot here, two shots there, a couple more, trying to bleed through on V and Hriss, who's also getting targeted out by a whole nother team. And that's what you get when you're Swizzy and Vanyak, and you build yourself into this position. You're able to kind of target everybody else that doesn't have that same advantage as you do. Even if you don't get the elimination, you kind of force them into tough spots with their backs up against the zone.
Zone has pulled northeast here, quite far from almost every duo in the lobby. So now they will be forced to rotate. The good news is, during these rotations, it's going to open up chances to take shots. Will they align is the big question, though. It's Swizzy now. Mix of shots from afar, mix of up close and personal. They're going to be able to finish off the knock here as well. It's going to be a good amount of damage. 271 above now, as they'll have to make their way to zone.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations to where you've been persistent throughout the entirety of this end game, and now you get to reap the rewards and really not having to worry about Surge as this game does progress, because there's not too many players that need to go down from zone to zone before it turns off altogether. And the last time we see Seti and Cammy with the high ground, it was stolen away from them late in the game. Let's hope they can learn from those mistakes and really come out with a huge VR.
The zone gets smaller and smaller. The pressure just keeps on weighing down the shoulders of these players. Tayson's already lost Veno. He's forced to try and hold on. Will he try and pick him back up? Will he just let him go? Pressure from the sides. I'm trying to think if one of the duos knows or who got that knock. Will they continue applying the pressure? Tayson might just be able to pick up Veno here. This could be huge.
Yeah, this could be a big moment for them. And I like the way he assessed the situation before instantly trying to go for that revive, knowing that anybody around any corner can hear with the audio visuals that revive coming out and try to attack. And that's why everybody here is proactively trying to get prepared for this next rotation. Majority of the lobby does have the front side of the zone, but there are a few players staggered around that zone that have the furthest distance to cover.
5 seconds, and the rotate begins. Cringe noms now. If you look up above, though, it's Cammy and Seti. Looks like they want high ground this game. The zones have pulled in their favor. Now they just need to maintain it. They have the water-bending mythic, so they can continue raining down from above. But they're still 9 below. They need to start connecting these shots.
Yeah, not necessarily too worried. Cammy does have that water-bending ability that we've seen terrorize so many teams from above in games past. Sky and Scroll definitely picking up the pace throughout last couple games, and Tayson and Veno staying ahead of the curve every step of the way, from the left side of the zone to the right side of the zone, knowing which rotation to make to where on the safe side.
Thomas down. Queasy once again left as a solo. Just 30 above, forced to connect at least 1 or 2 shots here with the SMG. The zone keeps closing though. Playing as a solo, it's more difficult to go ahead, especially if you're not too healthy on materials. Good news is, Queasy has 27 builds. This should be more than enough to get him at the zone, but another solo that's clutching it up is Tayson.
Yeah, top 10 positions for both of these players in solo is going to be huge for consistency on the leaderboard, but Tayson goes down. Queasy, he's trying to make his way in toward the zone, but he goes down as well. Both Chap and Marius get credit for both of those eliminations. Even though they're on separate teams, they know exactly what it takes to reach the top.
Titans taken out of the game as Swizzy knocks down another. Noms gets fully eliminated. Vanyak and Swizzy now up to 5. They're playing on this border of the zone, closer to mid-ground, but are they going to choose to change it up? Wings of Icarus once again conserving their materials as they look up, start chopping down height.
Yeah, this is going to be a big moment for them with Seti and Cammy coming crashing down. They try to figure out a way to hold on to the backside of the zone. It cost them everything. Great shots by Swizzy coming through, and now they are the leaders. They are the kings on top of high ground.
Retaking it at the perfect moment now. Leaders of the high ground. All they have to do is stay up above as Merstash is continuing left alone.
And if anybody can make it happen, especially finding med kits at the perfect moment, it is going to be Mustache, but it's only one med kit, and it's not going to be able to be used. He goes down. Top 7 situation. Cammy feeling the pressure. He goes down as well. Top 6, and it's anybody's game.
So many duos playing together here. The chemistry is high in this match. Sky and Scroll, they've been incredibly close now. 6-7 eliminations. Looking healthy as well. They might just try and retake height here.
This could be the perfect opportunity as long as Swizzy and Vanyak don't see it coming, but it does look like they have their eyes on the prize, forcing every team that tries to climb up back down into the ground, facing off one next, and that's Trulex and Chicho. 2 eliminations so far, 170 points, trying to make up for lost time, and this is a chance with Sky and Scroll on the other time. They're feeling the pressure, but Trulex is up for a challenge.
All the battles forced to unfold in the low ground now. Duo versus solo as Sky now is forced to heal back up. It's Marius, though, rotating inside of the zone. Dropped to 20 HP, just 2 ticks away. Sky as well gonna go down. Marius is still up.
Yeah, everybody dropping like flies here in towards the end game, and Marius might be the one that gets the good portion of that loot, but you still got a team positioned right below with the Kings on top of the Council right above. They're looking to be the first team to get at least 2 victories here in the EU FNCS.
Looking to rain down from above as the low ground duo is getting stuck in the dirt here. They need to break through previous builds to make it into the zone, and Marius might just be on the other end here as he continues to build on up little by little. One solo in the middle of the height and low sandwich. Can he make something happen?
Hey, if anybody can make it happen, it is going to be him. We've seen big plays already once, and already you've seen Swizzy ready to come crash landing down. Vanyak does it again, learning on the fly, but he gets dropped down, and the win is solidified by Swizzy.
The theme continues, crashing from above. Once again, high ground plus wings of Icarus. Is this the new meta?
I think it has definitely shaken up a bunch in this last couple of games. We didn't really see it at all leading up into the grand finals, but now things have changed. Players are forced to adapt on the fly.
What a way to close it out. They took high ground at the perfect moment, taking out Seti, leaving Cammy alone. And once they were up above, Swizzy and Vanyak, all they had to do was play it by the book and close it out in that last 2 versus 2 where we saw a replica of how the previous match concluded.
Yeah, I was a little scared. I was a little nervous. I saw Swizzy dropping down by himself. I'm looking around. I was like, is that a bird? Is that a play? No, it's just Vanyak with the wings of Icarus ready to have a crash landing and take that game away. And it was a game they deserved. They've had high ground for a couple of zones and put pressure on everybody below them to make sure that game was theirs.
That was insane. I'm sure down below they were looking above, thinking the same thing that was on your mind, but I want to see how that's shaking up the leaderboard. So Frankie, what you got for us?